Hi, everyone. Today, we're going to talk about the fact that not everyone always has enough food to eat. And, we're also going to talk about food insecurity. And we'll talk about what that is in a little bit. So, have you ever been hungry? Think about how that makes you feel, and maybe it makes you feel sleepy or tired, grumpy, you just don't feel well, you can't pay attention in class or while you study. Kids need nutritious food. We all know that, and they need it for energy and to grow and stay healthy. So again, take a moment to think about how you feel when you are. Then think about what it would feel like if there wasn't any food for you to eat if you were hungry. There are many reasons kids may be hungry. They might skip breakfast or lunch or don't get a snack, or maybe no one makes them breakfast or lunch. There's nobody around to make them breakfast or lunch or a snack. Or for some kids, there is not enough food in their homes because their family does not have enough money to buy food, even when they are hungry. And this can happen to anyone. Everybody may need help sometimes. And there are places that people can go for help if they don't have enough food to eat, like food pantries and soup kitchens. We're going to read a book called Saturday at the Food Pantry by Diane O'Neill, which is about a little girl named Molly and her family who need help to get food. There's the book. You can get this at the library. Dinner, Mom said. Chili again, Molly asked. They'd had it every day this week. Last week, too. Yup, Mom said. Tastes even better. The spices sink in. Mom ladled the last of the chili into their bowls. We have fancy milk, too. Molly grinned. She watched Mom pour milk into the sugar and spices in her cup. Mom shook the milk carton, just a teeny splash, and put it in the refrigerator. Tomorrow we'll get food, Mom said. We're going shopping? Molly's eyes lit up. Chicken and spaghetti and ice cream. Well, sort of. We're going to the food pantry. And what's a food pantry? Molly said. It's a place for people who need food, Mom said. She stood straight up, her chin high, and said, everybody needs help sometimes. So that evening at bedtime, Mom usually made Molly more warm, fancy milk and read a story. Tonight, it was just a story. And Molly tossed and turned, trying to sleep. Her stomach growled from hunger. And that's another thing that happens when you're hungry sometimes. You can't sleep because you're hungry. Your stomach is empty. When Molly and her mom can't afford groceries, they visit a food pantry. The next morning, they walk to the food pantry. Why do we need to wait? Molly asked. The pantry isn't open yet, Mom said. It's only open certain hours. So Molly sat down and she pulled some paper and crayons out of her backpack and she started drawing. Then when she looked up, she said, look, Mom, there's Caitlin. She's in my class. Hey, Caitlin. Caitlin looked away. Molly ran over to her. Didn't you hear me? Caitlin looked down. I didn't want anybody to know Gran and I needed help, she whispered. Oh, Molly walked back to her mom and she wondered, was there something wrong with needing help? Molly wanted to go home because she was upset, but she was also hungry. You okay, Mom said. Why don't you draw me a picture? I love your drawings. The woman in front of them turned, smiling at Molly. An artist. Will you draw me one for me too? And then Molly pulled out her crayons again and maybe drawing a picture would cheer her up, she thought. And then all of a sudden, everybody started asking for a picture. Hey, can you draw me a picture too? Me too. Will you show me one? So Molly ran to Caitlin with paper and crayons. I'm sorry. Molly ran to Caitlin with paper and crayons in her hands. Help! Everybody wants pictures. I can't draw that fast. Caitlin looked up. Well, okay. Soon a woman opened the door, and Molly and Caitlin each handed her a picture. Thank you. What wonderful gifts. Welcome. Please sign in, said the man at the desk. Mom didn't have to sign her name when they went to the grocery store, Molly thought. But the man smiled at them and he said, thanks. Grab a cart and stop here when you're done. Lots of good food today. Thanks, Mom said. She smiled, but just a little, not like when they played in the park. So the food pantry was a little like the corner store where they sometimes bought bread and milk. Cans and boxes were on plain metal shelves. Molly ran toward a shelf and picked up a box of sugar cookies. No, Mom said. Then she whispered, the people in charge, they'll want us to take sensible, healthy stuff. Mom's face turned pink because she was a little embarrassed that she didn't feel that they should take the sugar cookies. Molly's eyes widened. Why did her mom think that? Why were sugar cookies here if they weren't supposed to take them? The woman at the door and the man at the desk had seemed nice. Would they really not want Molly and her mom to have cookies? Molly swallowed her tears because she was pretty upset. She put the cookies back. They would have been good with the fancy milk. Help me put food in the cart, Mom said. And just like Caitlin, Mom looked like she wanted to be invisible. She was getting embarrassed too. But none of them were doing anything wrong. Everybody needs help sometimes, Molly whispered to her mom. Remember? Her mom smiled and said, well, yeah, you're right. Molly pointed at a sign on a huge bin of fruit. What if somebody wants 2 cantaloupes? And you see there are signs that say, take one only. A lot of people need help, Mom said. They have to make sure they have enough food for everybody who comes here. Molly and Mom put oranges and cantaloupe in their cart. Mom handed Molly cans of corn, tomato, and cling peaches, bags of red beans, pinto beans, and brown rice, a loaf of wheat bread, a box of oatmeal, and a bag of sugar, spaghetti noodles, sauce, and grated cheese, raisins, and tuna, and peanut butter, too. Mom reached for a big box of powdered milk. We'll have fancy milk tonight. They checked out at the desk, and the man pointed to the wall. Oh, Molly ran to Caitlin. Come here, look. Molly's rainbow sparkled. Caitlin's elf grinned. I was in a sad mood, the man said. Your artwork helped cheer me up. Thank you so much. He put their groceries into bags. Then he handed Molly's mom a box of sugar cookies. Saw your little girl looking at these. She can have them if that's okay with you, ma'am. Mom had a funny look, almost like she wanted to cry because the man was being so nice to her, and she nodded, thank you. Everybody deserves a treat, the man said. Enjoy. Molly and Mom walked home. They each carried a bulging bag. Molly, she looked around and saw Caitlin and her gran. I didn't know you lived so close, Mom said to Caitlin's gran. How nice. We're neighbors, Caitlin's gran said. I keep looking for work. They closed the factory. So Mom had gotten laid off from her job and she was having difficulty finding another job so that she could make money to pay for food. I've been sick, said Caitlin's gran. So Caitlin's gran was not feeling well. She was sick and she also couldn't get a job because she wasn't feeling well. We got lots of yummy food, Molly said. Did you? Yes, Caitlin shrugged. I just wish we didn't have to come to a food. Molly said, but everybody needs help sometimes. And we helped. We cheered people up. Caitlin grinned. We did, didn't we? I have an idea. Let's have lunch together, Molly said. Yes, Caitlin agreed. And we have dessert, Molly said. The man at the pantry gave me sugar cookies. There's enough for all of us. Let's eat. And they did. See, they're all sitting around the table eating the food that they got in the food pantry. So there's another book called Maddie's Fridge by Lois Brandt, and it's also about just this kind of thing. And you might want to read it too. You can get it from our library as well. So Sophia and Maddie are friends, and that, by the way, that's the cover. Sophia and Maddie are friends and visit each other's homes. Sophia notices that there's very little food in Maddie's fridge, and Maddie explains there's not enough money for food. Maddie doesn't want Sophia to tell anyone because she is embarrassed. Sophia promises not to tell, but she's having a hard time with this because she wants to help Maddie and her family have enough food. Sophia finally tells her mom. She hopes her mom can find a way to help Maddie's family. Maddie is upset with Sophia for telling, and Sophia tells Maddie that she wanted Maddie's family to have the food they need, and she thought that that was more important than keeping the promise not to tell. So know that it is important to tell a parent, teacher, or trusted adult if you know or are worried about someone like Maddie. Someone who you know doesn't eat breakfast, someone who doesn't bring a snack to school or some other activity, or doesn't have food to eat at lunch or at school, or doesn't have enough food in their home when you might be visiting them. When kids and their families do not have enough food to eat, it is called food insecurity. Food insecurity happens when families don't have enough money to buy food anytime they want it. It's important to remember that everybody needs help sometimes. I can't repeat that enough. And also that food insecurity is everywhere, no matter where you live. There may be many reasons why people don't have enough money to buy food. We talked about some of them, or at least Molly did in the book about going to the food pantry. Sometimes there's food insecurity because people may not be able to find jobs. Or don't forget, they could be sick. Or their job doesn't pay them enough to buy food whenever they need it. But there's good news. There are places and ways people can get food if they need it. There are programs that give money to schools to make sure every kid gets healthy meals at school. There are food banks in local communities. Now, a food bank is a large warehouse that gets food from many places. And that's where the food pantries get their food also, from a food bank. And they sometimes even take food that is not being used from supermarkets and restaurants, and that will just get thrown out. Food banks get this food and give it to food pantries like the one where Molly and Caitlin and their families went. Or they give it to soup kitchens where they cook the food they get from the food bank and serve it to people. In Red Bank, we have Lunch Break, which does both. Lunch Break serves meals to people who need help, and it also has a food pantry where people can get food, like Caitlin and Molly's families. Also in Red Bank, we have the Backpack Crew from the United Methodist Church in Red Bank. They give kids a backpack full of food for the weekends when they are not at school and can't get the lunch that the school gives them with the money it gets from the government. We have Soul Kitchen, a community restaurant where people can eat and only pay for their meal if they can. This is on Monmouth Street. And there are also food banks, food pantries, and soup kitchens in Eatontown, Asbury Park, and many other communities in Monmouth County. So here are other places you can get information. These are children's books that are all about this topic. If we don't have them in our collection, then you can certainly get them from another library. And here are websites with resources of Feeding America, No Kid Hungry, Feed the Children. Lunch Break has a website also, as the Soul Kitchen and the Backpack Crew, if you want to know more about those programs. So I hope that you found this program interesting, and that you enjoyed what we were doing, the book that I was reading, and that you all should have a very nice Thanksgiving. Take care.